1971, at the age of 12, I decided to become a baseball fan. So I had to pick a team. I grew up in Oregon, and there was no Major League Baseball in Oregon or Washington at the time, so the nearest place I could find a team to root for was Northern California. And that gave me two choices. One, the Oakland A's, a very talented team, but they were unsuitable for two reasons. One is their uniforms were ugly, and their mustaches were stupid. So that left the San Francisco Giants. Now they're my father's team. Plus, they had 4 bona fide baseball legends on the roster at the time. Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, Gaylord Perry, and Juan Marichal. So it was the Giants. And I learned about the ups and downs of being a baseball fan very quickly, because the Giants won their division that year and then lost to the Pittsburgh Pirates in the playoffs. But I wasn't worried, because I was sure the Giants would be back on top again real soon. I was wrong. The Giants didn't do that well. There were many more downs than ups over the years after that, but there were some real highlights. In 1975, I saw my first Giants game in person. They beat the St. Louis Cardinals at Candlestick Park. In 1978, a friend and I hitchhiked 400 miles from Boston to Montreal to see the Giants beat the Expos in extra innings. In 1981, I had the pleasure of watching my Giants crush the hated Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. They may have won the World Series that year, the Dodgers, but they did not win that game. 1985 was definitely a downer. The Giants lost 100 games that year, their worst season in San Francisco. But the good news is, I was living in Spain the whole year, and so I was spared the day-to-day misery. 1987, things started to look up a little. I was back in the US, the Giants won their division, and they lost to the Cardinals. In 1989, the Giants won their division, they beat the Cubs, and then they lost the infamous Earthquake World Series to the Oakland A's, whose uniforms were still ugly. 2002, another trip to the World Series, another painful loss to the California Angels. But then it happened. November 1st, 2010, 9:29 p.m. Central Time at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington, Texas. Giants closer Brian Wilson threw a cut fastball to Nelson Cruz of the Texas Rangers, who swung and missed. The ball settled into Buster Posey's mitt for the 3rd strike, which made the 3rd out, which ended the 9th inning, which ended the 5th game of the 2010 World Series. The Giants had won 4 of those games, and madness ensued. I didn't get too deeply into the madness then. I jumped up and down, of course, but I did not pour champagne all over myself or anyone else. But I did something else that day. I made a decision to be grateful. I looked back at 40 seasons of ups and downs, and I looked forward with a sure knowledge that there would be many more of each to come. And I decided I didn't ever want to be that guy saying, well, what has my team won lately? I decided that however many times the Giants lost the World Series, however many times they got knocked out on the playoffs, however many times they didn't make the playoffs, however many times they finished last in their division, however many times they lost 100 or more games in a season, that I would always look back and say, 2010, that was awesome. There is a word in Hebrew, dayenu. It means something like, this alone would be sufficient. It's part of a song that's sung during the Passover celebration, in which the wondrous deeds that God has done for the people are enumerated. And after each one, they say, Diane, this would be sufficient. So God led them out of Egypt. God fed them in the wilderness. God took them to the promised land. And after each one, they say, if this were the only thing that God had ever done for the people, that would be sufficient. So I decided that if all the Giants ever did for me was to win the 2010 World Series, if all they did was to win the 2012 or 2014 World Series, that would be sufficient. If all they did was to win an extra inning game in Montreal for a dedicated fan who had just spent 21 hours on the road getting there, that would be sufficient. And so winning a World Series is a small thing compared to leading an entire nation out of slavery. But it's a place to start. And I decided that as grateful as I was for the Giants for teaching me how to savor the highs, accept the lows, and stay grateful, I was also grateful to Toastmasters, because every meeting, every speech, every evaluation, whether good or not quite as good, is a chance to learn and grow and celebrate with our fellow Toastmasters. And so, if the only thing that Toastmasters had ever done for me was to give me the courage and the skills to stand up here today and give this speech, Diane, that would be sufficient for me to be grateful to Toastmasters. Madam Contest Master.